Well, joining me on set to discuss is our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Good afternoon to you, Philip. So what do we make of this back and forth decision by Donald Trump? I mean, what's going on here?
So this is where you separate the normal process of diplomacy into personal grudges that Donald Trump has against political leaders or countries. In this particular case, remember, cast your mind back a month, when Donald Trump announced, to the general surprise of everybody, he was going to withdraw 5,000 troops from Germany, basically because he did not agree with comments that the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz had said about the fact that Donald Trump had been humiliated in the war in Iran and had basically gone in without really knowing exactly what he was getting himself into. That went down like a lead balloon with Donald Trump, who then said, well, if that's the way it is, I'm withdrawing 5,000 troops from Germany, much to the horror of many NATO member states and members within the European Union. And they have been working on the fact that the US are going to reduce their troop strength in Europe until this announcement, where Donald Trump says he's going to deploy 5,000 troops to Poland. Why is he going to do that? Because Donald Trump backed the Polish President Karol Nawrocki during his election last year. So as a way of thanking him for winning the election, Donald Trump says he's now going to deploy 5,000 troops to Poland. Obviously, the same number of troops that were withdrawn from Germany are now going to find themselves in Poland. Now, there are a couple of elements that I think viewers need to know. The first one is that the United States has a legal right to deploy 76,000 US troops in Europe. It is only Congress that can agree to reduce that level to below 76,000. At the moment, there are about 80,000 troops in Europe. So if you take 5,000 off 80, that makes 75, which is lower than the authorized level by Congress, which may explain why Donald Trump has decided not to withdraw those troops completely, but to redeploy them in Poland. It could, of course, have taken away 4,000 troops instead of 5 and would have still been within that legal limit. The second point is that, as I was mentioning before, there's this frustration and irritation on the part of several European nations over this, saying that any decision to withdraw troops from Europe should be made in a structured way and should not be taken on the whim of someone due to his or her relationship with one or other European leader. Basically, a criticism of what Donald Trump is doing. But the bottom line is that Donald Trump is very annoyed with many European countries for not having backed his war in Iran. The reply is that, well, we were not consulted ahead of time about this plan to go into Iran. We were never asked what our view was. There was no forward planning or anything like that. We woke up to find out that the US was invading Iran with Israel. And we had no say in the matter. So that's why we're not letting the US use our military bases for a war which we don't agree with.
So the main concern here is obviously, the lack of coordination between the US and its European allies, because they're often left, trying to decipher what Donald Trump's intentions are. But what can we then expect from the Ankara summit? I mean, there's a lot of confusion still left ahead of that summit in July.
One of the points is that Donald Trump has threatened to withdraw from NATO. I don't think anybody thinks that's going to happen because he's not free to do that without an authorization from Congress, and that looks like it's not going to happen anytime soon. But Donald Trump is angry with NATO for the reasons that I was just outlining. I think there's concern about the US being a bona fide ally in the future, for example, over NATO's Article 5, where an attack on one NATO member is an attack on all NATO members. I think many within NATO feel that they can't really depend on the US anymore. There's a lot of uncertainty over whether the US would come to the help of another NATO member state, for example, if they were to be invaded. There's still a lot of suspicion about Donald Trump's ulterior motives for Greenland, the fact we just had this new embassy opening, a consulate opening there in the past 24 hours, and a trip by Donald Trump's special representative for Greenland over the past few days. All of that is an irritation for NATO, an irritation for Denmark, an irritation for Europe. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty about where Donald Trump stands on all of this. And of course, Donald Trump on his side is annoyed about the role that Europe has not played in the war in Iran. And I think many concerns about where this is going to end up as far as the war in Iran is concerned, the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz, all of those are going to be big items on the agenda of the summit next month in Ankara.
Right, Philip, thank you very much indeed for now. We are expecting to hear from Mark Rutte in the short moments to come. We will, of course, check in with you again.